Hello friends, welcome back. In this session, we are going to understand clearly the business implications of cognitive computing. This session will discuss clearly the business perspective, and that's going to be important as well. Well, we are definitely going through a change. Yes, there is a major transformation which is happening in the technologies and the sector surrounding it. So we are transforming. There is a lot of change in the way we are working. We are taking up new things, and it's a definite change. There is a lot of decline in the price of software and hardware. Earlier, 1 GB storage cost us somewhere around 3000 rupees. Currently, 32 GB pen drive is available for the same cost. It's going to be much more cheaper in near future. Many innovations are coming in. The globe is changing. The industries across globe, the way they work is all changing. What is the difference between success and failure? It's not going to be based on how big a company is. It is going to be definitely based on factors which are going to get it innovative, and one such is cognitive computing. Are we adding a new dimension to the company through cognitive computing? Yes, is the answer. Can we make smarter products and devices? Can we make smarter products and services? Can we anticipate? Can we understand what the customers want? Can we understand what will they expect in the future? All these are the business perspectives where cognitive computing will certainly help you. And we are preparing for a change. Businesses always had more data in their structured databases. This is a fact that we all will agree. They have data in the structured databases, the document stores, and packaged business applications. For decades, business leaders understood that if they could capture insights from the data before their competitors find them, they have already a weapon in their hand which is going to get them success. They need to understand what is the insight from the data. Slowly, businesses are beginning to find ways to integrate data across silos so that they can begin taking a holistic approach to gain more insights. We have been talking about the term insights in this subject for a long time. We need to generate insights. We need to generate actionable insights. That insights is the one that we are focusing on. That will help you growing. The leaders understand that if they extract meaningful relationships or patterns from the data which is about the customers, partners, suppliers, employees, and overall market dynamics, that's it. They can now get whatever they want. Their knowledge is obtained and they can anticipate the changes. They can be ready for the future. But even with all the progress we have made, the companies are still looking into how to capture insights which are definitely not obvious. The problem goes beyond speed. It is a problem of how to discover relationships that are meaningful and not simply anomalies. This is a very important aspect of it. We have grown tremendously better than what we were in the past. But are we still very happy with whatever insights we are generating? No, the companies are still struggling. They want to generate more insights. The risk of inaction never higher. That's a very important aspect. It is going to be much more tougher in future as well. The emerging companies, many companies are there, startups are there with a very little revenue are disrupting the entire industries, and the markets are disrupted overnight because of the new strategies that they are able to bring in into picture. The bookstore owners have found it very difficult when the electronic bookstores have destroyed their model. Cab companies are finding it very difficult and they are threatened, in fact, by the car sharing, by the ride sharing models. Manufacturing companies have found many innovative ways, automated process methods, and they are also rethinking now further how to improve it. New regulations in the healthcare have come, and more care, more and more process, more and more creative attempts are made even in that sector to get the right quality of the care. So it's going to be much more in the near future. The expectations are really higher. And know your customers better. That's the first point that we would like to reiterate when it comes to business. Without we knowing the customers, it's going to be really difficult. Solving the problems and the challenges, whatever I have highlighted for different industries in the previous slide, it is very important for us to understand our customers better. Without understanding the customers better, we will not be able to get solutions. Making it faster to find a cab or a shared ride is not a sustainable differentiator. Making it cheaper by lowering the driver pay or auto quality or better routing won't do it as well. Every competitor will try of all these aspects, but knowing more about the customer so that you can pair the right driver and the rider based on the knowledge of the experiences and preferences will make a true difference. True competitive advantages come from understanding the customers, come from knowing your customers. Even before they can articulate what they will pay for, if you are able to understand that, that's all, you've already won the race. So that's how industries move on. You need to understand your customers better. Now, we need to understand the advantages of the disruptive models. At a pure technology level, if you take it at technology level, the advances in the deployment models, which include the cloud and the mobile computing, are transformational, and they enable truly disruptive business models. The market for these services has seriously exploded so nicely in the recent past, and the cost of computing and storage has fallen tremendously as well. In addition to it, the deployment models which are emerging with a very little need for the capital investment, new companies can create digital assets and they can get a superb foothold in the market in very less time. So the companies no longer assume that a well established installed base or customer loyalty will sustain them in a longer run. The answer to this disruption is taking advantage of knowledge in the new ways that can support the new realities. That's a very important aspect. The cost of the computing has come down, the cost of the storage has come down. Use it, make advantage of it. You can set up something in a record time, it can be much more faster. So we have to use this disruptive growth to enable business to grow better. And with the cognitive computing, you can certainly discover insights that were previously beyond the ability and beyond imagination. We might not have been able to do that till date, but with cognitive computing in picture, I'm certain we can do that. And without a cognitive system, a human is definitely required to manually discover patterns and insights. That is definitely a tough task. It's a task which is going to be really cumbersome. You need to refer to complex documents, reports, understand journal articles, technologies, video materials you may have to refer. You may have to sit in classes for that as well to understand how do you generate insights from the patterns. It's very, very difficult, but with cognitive systems, it's going to be much easier for you. In legal discovery, lawyers often send the opposition so much of information that it cannot possibly process the data in a reasonable amount of time, even when keywords can be scanned automatically. This is a very important thing that we need to analyze and understand. The deeper meaning remains still hidden. Even with abundance of time, researchers may really miss the key patterns and the nuances that are hidden in the documents. It's not so easy. It is not very easy for the researchers even to identify that hidden content, hidden nuances from the documents. But in contrast, if you process this huge volume of data that we are talking about with a cognitive system, you will be able to gain insights in much faster way. At the same time, it's going to be accurate as well. While one researcher with decades of experience might know precisely what to look for, an average researcher will likely miss important data. So the knowledge has a real value. What does the knowledge mean to the business is to be understood, and traditionally companies have relied heavily on experience. They would like experienced people. They would like people with a lot of experience, and they have handled a lot of things already in the past. The company started trusting them, and that's how it has been all the way going in the tradition. Also, the traditional approaches are generally inadequate now to respond and to adapt the external forces. For example, the extreme weather events that disrupt supply chain or sudden popularity of an entertainer whose wardrobe will quickly change demand within a specific demographic. It might not be done or it might not be handled with the traditional approach. The fast rate of changing everything, the market dynamics, the preferences of the customers, everything is fast changing. And the new technology with cognitive computing in picture will definitely be effective there. We have got multiple insights that we can draw from the social media data these days, but the traditional systems are not designed to explore or to even try understanding these kind of data inputs. So we have to use this, and we have to move from the traditional approach to the approaches where we can be more data centric. In a search for a better way to translate a huge amount of data across business unit into a predictable approach to determine outcomes and the next best actions, companies are now really looking forward to innovative approaches. They just don't want to run the report. They just don't want to take the traditional databases to understand and analyze data. These businesses nowadays are looking into methods that can help them in understanding, analyzing, and also to learn consistently from the data. Companies are now having a lot of algorithms thanks to machine learning, thanks to deep learning. We have so many algorithms to analyze the data, and most importantly, we need to understand and learn from the data. While it has been long possible to query a text database, leaders want to build a more dynamic, a more comprehensive knowledge base that can help them in anticipating the change. I need to understand where it is going to go. I need to understand where the migration is going to happen, and we can take actions appropriately. For a simple instance, the companies that have been manufacturing automobiles in the country, they have migrated quickly to the EV side, and they are manufacturing EVs, and EVs are being sold well as well. That's the migration. They have got clear understanding where the future is going to go, and that's how they started working. They anticipated the change, and this kind of approaches is what is to be followed. Before the customer tells you what he wants, you should be able to provide what he even anticipates. The ways to find answers to complex issues is also changing, and that's a good thing. The traditional database query is highly structured and takes its direction from the way the database is designed and managed. A simple SQL query is therefore effective when you know that the database includes the data what you need to find. This is a very important point to reiterate. When you know that the database includes the data that you need to find, SQL query will become very effective. An SQL query is basically a lookup function. When you look for answers in unstructured data, you typically use a search engine. When you have an idea of what you want to find, but you don't know where to locate the source of that information, the search engine relies on tagging and keywords to find possible answers. This is how every search engine works. When someone asks a question, it matches the words in the query with the tags and keywords in the unstructured database, and then it provides the user in return with the documents that has a match with the words but does not provide insights. Selecting the document that can provide best answer is left up to the searcher. You need to identify it by yourself. If you are a searcher, if you are searching for the data, you have to really spend time to understand which document is going to provide you better support. The answer is not simply a database that enables user to ask a question. I repeat, the answer is not simply a database that enables a user to ask question. This approach has been followed for years now. So many decades we have been following it. Queries are the right approach when there is a well-constructed and highly structured data source available. But knowledge-based or expert systems which are supported by a rules engine were a step in the right direction as an approach to capture and to leverage experience of the statisticians. These applications cannot carry on a dialogue with the users to refine their recommendations, or it may not even be able to suggest new questions that would increase the confidence in an answer. All these points are really very important, so I request you to read it through once again once you get time. So please understand, the knowledge-based systems are expert systems which are clearly supported by set of rules framed already. That's the right direction it was going in. But again, they are not the applications which can help the users in refining their questions. It cannot suggest new questions that would increase the confidence in an answer. That's not possible. But the difference that we carry with the cognitive systems is going to help us here. Contrast with the systems that we had been using all in the past, we are migrating slowly to the cognitive approach. The organization leveraging a cognitive approach will begin first with collecting all the data. For an instance, we can collect data about diabetes, the treatment options, the literatures, and the clinical trials. The same organization will also leverage most experienced physicians, and they begin to codify their knowledge from the years of experience and case files. So we are trying to leverage by collecting the data. We are also using the experience from the person who has done it very nice, who has gained a lot of experience very nicely over the past. So unlike the traditional application where things are to be written based on the previous knowledge, previously done process, the cognitive system will learn. It is what we have been talking about from the first class. Cognitive systems are all about learning, relearning. It will keep learning, it can keep updating, it can keep knowing further, it will evolve. At the same time, the organizations want to be able to use the data from the sensors to monitor the metrics and to correct the changes in the patient status. So we should be able to utilize the data that is coming real time from the sensors or other devices as well. So all these approaches are possible through cognitive systems, and cognitive systems will help you evolving. Even in the business sector, even in the medical sector, the healthcare, whichever line you are going, cognitive systems will help you in expanding your business further. For decades, organizations have tried to really improve their business by automating it. The entire process they wanted to automate. But it has never been successful. We have never heard of any business that's 100% automated. So what has worked for the organizations is to design the systems that are focused on bringing together knowledge related to specific business outcome. Therefore, when you talk about applications focused on accounting, for an instance, can provide right information about all aspects and process needed for managing accounting effectively, because processes are really concrete and the knowledge is well matured and well understood. This type of categorization of knowledge is operationalized in everything from marketing and sales to human resources, finance, operations, and customer service. Automating everything may not be possible, but certain applications where we are going ahead with it as well. Now, knowledge about the business tends to be based on mostly internally focused, but companies are coming out of this method right now, and they are increasingly recognizing the need to integrate external and more dynamic sources of information about customer preferences. They cannot just stay with the internal knowledge that they have gained over years. Instead, they have to come out of it, and they have to be a little more dynamic, little more flexible in terms of also utilizing the external resources in order to understand what the customer behavior is, what the customer expectation is, so that their business can expand. And now we need to understand, how do we mesh data together differently? As technology advances the relationships between the sources of knowledge, we can begin to understand the insights. Earlier, this was not possible. It had been earlier tougher. Now it has been becoming easier. Shaping the outcomes is the heart of the change offered by cognitive computing. We are shaping it up in the way things are to work. It is always useful to evaluate the 4 stages of maturity in analytics, which we are going to discuss right now, and it's going to be very, very interesting. We are going to learn the 4 stages of maturity, which are very interesting, and this is very important to understand. The first stage: collecting, cleansing, integrating, and reporting on data. This is the first stage, and in this stage you will use the data to query and analyze the current and the past business performance. You are going to just analyze, and you are going to understand the current and the past business performance. Before you can make any sense of data, before you can derive anything out of the data, it is very critical to understand what is the problem that your company is trying to solve. Where is that we are going to get in further, or what is that we are going to solve further? What is the problem statement in our hand is to be clearly understood. What do you do with this data, and why do we need that? When the organization understands clearly what they want to do, it is the right time to go ahead at the next step of framing a strategy. Without you knowing what to do, there is no point in creating a strategy. This stage is very important in creating a baseline of consistent and trusted knowledge about the business. You can't begin to accurately predict where your company is headed if you do not have a clear understanding about where you have been. The data cleansing, the data integration ensure that senior executives understand the reports from the business units such as sales, operations, finance are accurate. So that's very, very important part of it. Any predictions of future performance which are based on the current and the historical information make the implicit assumption that business's operation are stable. Mostly, if you see, the approach whatever we have been discussing is assuming a Bayesian approach that begins with an hypothesis and then uses a statistical analysis to reach conclusion. So a rate of change is considered only for the rate of growth or decline in the overall market. The first step is all about collecting, cleansing, integrating, and reporting the data. Well, stage 2 is all about trend analysis and forecasting. This stage is very important, where it uses basic modeling capabilities to make businesses forecast based on analysis of the historical trends and available insights. For example, a clothing buyer for a retail chain looks at the past sales. The sales records have been analyzed and he will understand based on the past historical records what is needed for the next year. Before placing order, he will definitely go through the previous year content. This model is likely to account for various factors that differ across each of the stores, which could include climate, store location, demographic characters of the shoppers, and many other things will come into picture. The buyer may apply what if analysis also, which will help him in adjusting the sales forecast. For example, if the next season is 5 or 10% additional heavy snowfall day or rainy day predicted, the buying and selling could be slightly affected. So the forecast is based on even this additional aspects. We need to understand that the forecast can be adjusted downward to account for less traffic in the store due to the snowstorms if it is snowing. And if it is all nice, it will go on as expected. If it is going to rain heavily, there will be a hit in purchase. All these will be analyzed. The buyer, which we are talking about, may end up in a lot of unsold merchandise after overlooking the rapid changes in the fashion trends among certain demographic as well. So when there is a rapid change happening with respect to dressing, with respect to the fashion, there will be sales getting hit as well. The outcome from these systems tend to be based on the ability to codify current knowledge and report from those findings. Finally, the results of leveraging these systems were not predictive in nature, rather than the results are based on structured and well-defined set of problems. I hope it is clear. You need to understand, you need to predict, you need to forecast, but all sensibly. Now, third stage is called predictive analytics. This stage is defined clearly using the statistical or data mining solutions that consist of multiple algorithms and techniques that can be applied both to structured or unstructured data. Multiple sources are there for both structured and unstructured data, and they can be used individually or they can be combined to build models. Some of the statistical techniques which are used are like the tree analysis, decision tree analysis, which you know, linear and logistic regression analysis, the data mining, social network analysis, time series analysis. So many are there. So you can pick one of them. And a key factor that we need to understand when it comes to stage 3, which is predictive analytics capability, is that ability to incorporate predictive models with business rules into the operational decision making process. The decision making process has to incorporate the predictive models which also abide the business rules. This makes the modeling process more actionable. So that's the most important aspect that we need to understand, right? And the focus on the predictive analytics is always about anticipating the trends before they happen. So when you anticipate the trends, you minimize the risk. You avoid the risk in business. Predictive analytics has been used for so many years now in many industries, but again, increase in the compute, increase in the storage, reduce cost, all these things are making it much more accessible. Now we are talking about cloud so easily, and we all have got cloud access so easily with a very less investment. So that's all happening because of the reduce in the cost, reduce in the ways that we have been accessing earlier. Now the costing connected to it is reduced, and setting up infrastructure accessibility, everything is increased. So we can go ahead and use this available modern technologies, available compute facilities, storage facilities, and we can get the prediction done very nicely. We have used this in many industries in the past, and we can combine this with the cognitive efforts in near future. So you can really get product recommendations done for a specific customer based on his historic purchase, based on the trends, based on multiple analysis that you are doing with respect to demographics, with respect to the climate, with respect to the season that he is going through. All these things can be analyzed, and even customer recommendations with products can be done very nicely through these approaches. So stage 3 is that. Stage 4 is prescriptive and cognitive. They are the final one. The prescriptive and the cognitive approaches take predictive analytics to the next level. It is really going to improve it by applying machine learning algorithms, visualization, and NLP. We have not used the term machine learning or NLP or visualization in the first 3 stages. So we are bringing in ML, visualization, and NLP all in picture for the first time, and that's very interesting. Now companies now really want to do better. Now companies want to get things better and they want to retain the market while gaining new customers as well. If models are designed which can continuously learn based on each new interaction, the accuracy will improve. That's what cognitive computing is all about. A mobile service provider can use analytical models to help the customer service agents to reduce the customer churn level. That's a very important example that I'm citing here. These models can analyze information about a particular customer and predict what action the company needs to take to retain this customer. We are retaining customer while we are also acquiring new customer. We are improving the customer retention rate so easily through this approach. The model incorporates social analytics to understand customers' interactions, and that's going to have influence on others as well. All these changes are considered, and that's going to be more prescriptive and cognitive in nature. This is all adaptive learning. The model's accuracy will be continuously improved. Most important aspect here with respect to the prescriptive and the cognitive stage is the models that we are talking about here is mostly learning. It's continuously learning. By using this adaptive learning, the model's accuracy can be continuously improved. So it will not fail. The predictions will be perfect. It won't fail. So there is where the cognitive computing comes into picture, where it evolves continuously, it learns continuously, thereby not hitting the business requirements as well. We'll see more in the next session. Thank you very much.